I'm Cheryl O'Brien, and this is my final project for interpersonal communications. Next slide, please. I have grown up in New York. I have lived in West Africa, and I currently live in Colorado. All those places have shaped me, but nothing has shaped me more than being a follower of Jesus Christ. Next slide. My purpose statement is to come alongside third culture kids to promote health while impacting them for Christ. And by health, I mean emotional, spiritual, and physical health. Next slide. In this class, we looked at who we are and what our personal behavioral blend is. And to do that, we use Mel's Carbonell's Uniquely You and the DISC profile. The DISC divides everyone up into different qualities and then assigns different quadrants to them. The D quadrant, Smalley and Trent associated a lion with, and lions tend to be dominant, competitive, demanding, and very direct. Otters are assigned to the I quadrant. Otters are the life of the party. They're inquisitive, they're fun, they're influencing, and they're inspiring to be around. S's, the golden retriever quadrant, are submissive, steady, stable, and very security oriented. And the last quadrant gets assigned to the beaver. The conscientious, calculating, critical thinkers of the world belong in that quadrant. Next slide. My behavioral blend is that of a golden retriever and a beaver. I'm mostly golden retriever with a little bit of beaver thrown in. I value stability, I value loyalty, I like consistency. I love being around the people I love, especially when I get to be one-on-one with them. As an S, I'm a good follower. I don't usually like taking risks, and I relate closest to those who are closest to my heart. But I'm also conscientious, and I can get into all the details that need to be gotten into. When I'm pressed and under pressure, I act more like a beaver. I become moody and contemplative. I become critical, and I can get pretty nitpicky at times. Next slide. We took another self-assessed test that was on queendom.com that evaluated our interpersonal communication skills, and I scored a 72, which is quite a respectable score. Queendom told me that I'm fairly adept at interpreting both other people's verbals, nonverbals, and their meta messages, being able to read between the lines. I'm good at seeing things from other people's perspectives, putting myself in their shoes. I believe that empathy is an essential characteristic, and I'm good at adjusting my behavior to fit others. Next slide. There are a few barriers to my communicating well, and I'd like to share those with you, as long as some of the resources and some of the things I've learned about changing those behaviors. Next slide. The first problem I identified is that just like everyone else, I can listen much faster than most people speak. In fact, most of the time people speak about 200 words per minute, while we listen at 300 to 500 words per minute. That gap leaves our minds a lot of different things to do. So there are a few things I've learned. Next slide. Christopher Morley said there's one rule to being a good talker, and that's being a good listener. So here are some of the ways I've been working on becoming a good listener. Next slide. Basically slowing down. While I'm listening, my mind isn't off on 500 other things. If I focus well on what's being said, I can ask questions, I can paraphrase and gain clarity. Next slide. James Peterson's talker listener cards have also been a revolutionary thought for me about how to listen better. Who knows what role they're taking? These cards I'm looking forward to using with my interns next summer as a way to get us all to slow down and listen well, and to know what we do when we talk and what we do when we listen. It's not as intuitive as everyone thinks it is. Next slide. Another problem that I've identified with communicating is what Peterson calls his flat brain theory. In this theory, our stomachs become so engorged with emotions that they wall off our heart to being able to discuss things with people, and they push our brain up until it's as flat as a piece of paper and we can't think. Next slide. Peterson's one response to getting rid of flat brain is to physically gulp, to take a breath, to swallow something, and to kind of break that cycle of your emotions rising up and flattening out your brain. I learned in a recent confrontation that I'm not good at physically gulping without something to help me. So I've learned I make sure I have something to drink, a glass of water, a cup of coffee. If I sip on that, it helps to break that pattern for me. Next slide. Another communication barrier that I've identified, especially in my workplace, is that it's hard to tell who exactly is speaking. I can look like I'm talking to my vice president, who I am talking to, but it looks like I'm talking to another American. The problem is, he's as Japanese as you can get in an American body, and I'm not completely American. There's a good deal of African in me. So our office tends to be that way. We're a mashup of cultural identities who are completely in flux from time to time, depending on where was the last place we were and how are we responding with which brain. My African brain, my American brain, my New York brain, my Colorado brain, all those different ones. And I have to realize that other people are looking at things the same way. Next slide. There tends to be a lot of conflict when we're not sure who's speaking or we're not sure how to interact with different cultures. But we're reminded in Stewart that conflict implies interdependence, that if we weren't together and working towards the same goal, we wouldn't have conflict. We would all go off do our own things. Stewart also reminds us that we need to be interested in joining together and not prevailing. And I thought of a fist when I thought of this. You can do damage as a hand when you slap someone, but you're pretty sure to do a lot more damage if you all come together and punch someone. And our goal is kind of to punch Satan out of existence. Next slide. One of the things that Stewart also reminds us is that we can have conflict and we can say, I hear you, but I have a different perspective. And allowing each other to do that and to really listen to each other's different perspective will pull us together instead of spreading us further apart. Next slide. In some research I read, it talked about how there's a halo effect that happens when people who first come into the organization are met by people who have good training in interpersonal communication and interpersonal skills. The way they impact those entering the organization spills over onto the whole organization. This halo effect is great for me as I do much of our training for new missionaries, because we can put some of that relational coin in the bank with them. They have a much more positive view of the rest of the organization. So developing my interpersonal skills really helps. Next slide. Plato once said, wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something.